tumaze tutawuli kwa pani nani natwabeshe baboka mutinani success knowledge tiye pani bela kube uwabakoni sensa tutawabantu uwabakoni sensa usakamana abantu usakamana.
Hi, fam. It's your tutor, Mr. Sensor from Sensor Academy Competitions. And in the following tutorial, we're simply going to consider civic education, preparing adequately for an exam. We're going to consider essay writing. But with me here, a brief question that's going to highlight how best we are going to consider essay writing, provided we were to prepare for the exam adequately. The question is from 2019 Paper 2 Internal Exam. We can begin. The question says, explain the characteristics of elections in good governance. In every question that's going to be an essay, there will always be an important word that you cannot go any further without having to define it. In this case, the word becomes elections. We need to firstly define what an election is. Then afterwards, we are going to give the characteristics of elections based in good governance. When we talk about elections, an election is a democratic method used by eligible citizens in order to choose leaders of their choice. When I say choosing leaders of their choice, I mean the eligible citizens are the citizens with a green national registration card as well as the voter's card in order to take part in the polling or voting. And when we talk about governance, governance is when people are ruled with or without their consent. Remember, the main area of interest is to signify and clearly state the characteristics of elections in good governance. Let's begin. So firstly, we're going to define what elections really are. And by doing so, we're going to say election or a democratic elections or a democratic method used by eligible citizens to choose leaders of their choice. Elections are a democratic method used by eligible citizens to choose leaders of their choice. The second thing is to simply describe fully and also in detail on how best these elections are characterized in good governance. So we're simply going to say elections in good governance, and then semicolon. Then we're going to come up with our brief points which are going to be supported by a partial statement. The first point we can bring under the characteristics is that elections should be held after a longer period of time, probably sometimes 5 years, 3 years, or some months, depending on what kind of elections they are. In short, we're trying to say elections are periodic, meaning they should be held after a certain period of time. So I'm going to say elections in good governance are, then the point is periodic, but when we bring in this point, we put semicolon, and afterwards, we should briefly be able to explain how best that point is relatable to elections being characterized in that particular way. Periodic, we're going to say this means that elections should be held after a period of time such as 5 years. When we talk about elections that are held after every 5 years in a Zambian constitution, those are called general or tripartite elections, which are able to involve the choosing of the Republican president, the members of parliament, as well as the ward councillors. Periodic, This means that elections should be held after a period of time, such as 5 years, but you can have by-election in the process, we can also have local government in the process, etc. Point number 2, we're going to say elections should be inclusive. We also put a semicolon. We're going to try relating how best this point is going to characterize the elections. We're going to say this means that elections should cater and include. Should cater or includes all types of eligible people, regardless of the difference in abilities. We're going to say elections should cater or include all types of eligible people having a green national registration card as well as a voter's card, regardless of the difference in abilities. Suppose someone is disabled or in any particular way disadvantaged in order to take part in an election, thereby getting discriminated. Having to bring such a point, here is my conclusion. Whenever they say explain something in relation to something, the first point is to always consider the keyword. The keyword is elections. The connection is that these elections should be explained in form of their characteristics, basically in good governance. And then when you have 6 marks and we were bringing in points, we're supposed to bring about 3 points, of which the points that should be explained should be in line and briefly be explained in accordance to what has been asked in the question. Now that we have just included 2, periodic, inclusive, we can also say elections should be free and fair, and especially in an environment that can cater for all. And elections should be decisive, as only one from the contestants should emerge as a winner. Fam out there, I hope you find this video very much beneficial.
Azetuto ulikopani nani natwabeshe baboka mutinani success knowledge tiye pani bela kube kwabo uwabakoni sensa tutawa abantu uwabakoni sensa